us off. So my name is Celeste. I am one of the people behind the scenes here at Pessy, and I am going to let my friends introduce themselves, but we are all here to talk about nutrition today.
Nice. Do you want Sandy to start?
Go for it.
Go ahead,
Okay.
Sandy.
My name is Sandra Scanlon, and I'm here in American Samoa. I'm a physical therapist. I took this class as a physical therapist, but found how beneficial it would be to the parents that I also work with. I run a Parents of Children with Special Needs network. I have a child with disabilities, and so I just felt like this would be really helpful to all of our families, as well as the clients that I see in our clinic.
Yeah.
Excellent. And I'm Cindi Lockhart. I'm a functionally and integratively trained dietitian, and I created the course that we're going to be talking about today.
On my side, my grandma was never very healthy on my dad's side. I can remember that I think she had a tackle box of medications. She passed away when I was in about 7th grade, so I can't remember exactly which conditions she had, other than I do know she is type 2 diabetic. And my dad has always been overweight. So trying to navigate as the daughter, like, what can I do to help my dad out? And so one of the places where I think nutrition is always challenging is hearing what other people believe because they read in the internet. And so I will kind of share some of the funnier stories that I've experienced along the way. I used to actually work in a weight loss center too, as well as CrossFit. So a lot of just experience from kind of both sides of either weight loss or performance. And had somebody one time tell me they don't eat asparagus because my fitness pal told them it was 500 calories. And then one from my dad, I hope he doesn't see this because I'm going to make fun of him, but he came to visit and I had a Sam's size thing of cashews. And he likes to think that he does a low carb diet. And so all weekend he's snacking on these cashews, and he left, and I told my husband, I'm like, didn't I just buy a thing of cashews? He ate the entire thing in the course of like 3 days. I'm like, I get that that's low carb, but you just ate 4,000 calories and cashews as your snacks. Like, that's not the direction we need to go with the whole low carb thing. And so just knowing how many questions come up in all of life and how critical nutrition is for everything, it's been super, super exciting for me to work with somebody like you, Cindi, to bring this content in. So I know Sandy had mentioned that the way you kicked off this training was super powerful. Would you guys mind kind of talking through, Sandy, like, why did it resonate with you? Cindi, share with us now, what did you say when you kicked off this training?
So do you want me to start?
That would be awesome.
Well, and I gotta tag off of you on that, Celeste, because just being a dietitian for over 30 years, that's exactly kind of how my upbringing was. It's like everything was processed in a can or a package.
Mm-hmm.
We just did not eat healthy. I was an overweight, unhealthy kid. And you know, people today, like, one of my big passion areas is genetics, because I had like all of the wrong genetics. I mean, I'm at more risk for getting disease than not getting disease. And I'm so passionate about how we live our lives through nutrition and lifestyle to turn off those genes, or at least to turn them down so that they don't express. And so that's really, you know, my passion is just to really help bring this really empowerment and motivation to know that you have the opportunity to be in the driver's seat to change your destiny in regards to how you function day in and day out, and what your long-term trajectory is in regards to disease risk. And it doesn't have to be like a laborious job. It doesn't have to be horrible tasting. I mean, everything should be enjoyable. It should be easy and sustainable. And that's really kind of the power, and bringing it to light, you know, bring a lot of the education so people are aware, you know, things that we never learned about or heard about, of the connections and how does it fit together, you know, so connecting those dots for folks. And then now, how do we implement it?
Yeah.
How do we put it into practice?
Mm-hmm. I was going to say that the things that stood out to me the most in your introductory was, if you can't read it, don't eat it. That was the first one, you know, got me to reading labels, you know, like, oh my gosh, you know, even stuff that I thought was, you know, like a stevia drink mix, this stevia drink mix that I have, that I thought, stevia, okay, I can have that. And it still had sucralose in it. I'm like, Are you kidding me? A package of cheese, I just went and got some cheese at the store, just cheese, but it had other stuff in it too. I'm like, well, where can I get real food? And then the other one was when you said calories in don't equal calories out. My mom was all Weight Watchers, and we all, counted calories. I took that little calorie counting book and I just scanned it through to find all the low calorie foods, and that's what I would eat. And I pretty much, you could ask me any food and I could tell you the calorie count of that serving size. I ended up being bulimic, anorexic through college years and all that. So, that you're really into the calorie counting and all that as well.
Yeah.
But for me, it was like, okay, if I can have 1,200 calories a day, which is what my mom's diet was, 1,200 calories a day, then I might as well have 3 packs of M&Ms and some Diet Cokes because I like that. Instead of having, and now I realize, well, it doesn't matter. I could have 3 packs of Diet Cokes and M&Ms and be under 1,000 calories and gain weight. Or I could eat like what you suggested in this program and eat twice that, 3 times that, and lose weight, or just at least be healthy, nourishing my body, providing it with nutrient-rich foods. What do you call it? Fueling
Okay.
the body. So this is the stuff I wanted to share because those old things are really out the door. They're not true. And so much of the food that's out there today is just so fake. I had heard somebody say that some country was starting to develop rice out of plastics. And I thought, oh, that's horrible, But then I'm looking at the labels of the stuff I'm eating. It's no different.
Yeah.
It's the same thing. It's just chemicals and yeah. So go on, tell us.
It's what we call frankenfood, right?
Exactly. And I'm afraid to go eat stuff anymore. I'm like, oh my gosh, I don't want to put that in my body.
Yeah, it's a total mind shift.
Yeah. So,
yes.
Okay.
My next question is to talk through just quickly, like how the training, the food as medicine certification was designed. So it's broken out into modules where we talk through like what are the basics of food? What are the macros? What are the micros? We talk about what I call diet wars. I think every time you open an internet browser, they're going to tell you a different diet is the best one that everybody needs to be on. We talk about considerations for special populations. Not everybody needs the same thing. I think that's a message that is too common, is that this one thing is the solution for everybody's problems. And that's just not the case.
That is very true. That is very true. Yeah. And so just to kind of enhance like how it was designed is really like what Cindy's talking about in regards to the foundations, so what really sets us up for not feeling well or functioning well, and then having a higher risk for obesity and disease. So that's things like oxidative stress and inflammation, as well as insulin resistance and glycemic balance, and then also stress. We don't think about the impact that stress has on our body, whether we know that stress even exists or not. We're preparing for fight or flight. So a little bit more about the autonomic nervous system, and even how we disrupt our circadian rhythms, how we are created to live our life in regards to light and sleep and eating. That really makes a difference on our metabolism and our health. So we start with that and really talk about how food is medicine. So food is information for the body. It not only prevents disease, it can actually reverse disease, especially when we talk about the top dogs, like obesity, heart disease, diabetes, even depression, IBS, and arthritis. And then we really kind of dive into what you were talking about, Celeste, with the macros and the micros and the phytonutrients and the artificial sweeteners and natural sweeteners, the beverages, the supplements, but then also looking at all the different types of diets. And that's where really nutrigenomics comes in, and realizing that we're all unique. So it's the N of one approach. So yes, there's science, but we're not a science project and we're not isolated. We're human beings that are interconnected. And so how our body responds to one of these dietary patterns can be completely different to like 5 other people's response. And even like how we responded in our 20s, it can be completely different in our 40s and our 50s, because metabolically and hormonally, we're changing.
Okay.
So it's really experimenting with that. We do talk about fasting, and then we get into the more specifics in regards to special conditions like diabetes, adrenal dysfunction, the sex hormone imbalances, mental health like anxiety, depression, autoimmunity, insomnia, fatigue. Who doesn't have that?
Yeah.
So we go into more specifics. So it's pretty complex. And then as Cindi was talking about, like labels, how do you read a label these days? I mean, it's not easy. It's like a scientific project when we get
Right.
into ingredients. And how do you assess your nutritional status and your nutritional intake? So really kind of identifying all of those components to healthy living.
Cindi, how would you say you've implemented this so far with your own patients, or you said maybe even your patients' parents?
Right. Yeah. I have already shared some of this I have one patient that has fibromyalgia, and I already talked to her about an anti-inflammatory diet, things that can help in that way. We have a lot of patients here with high blood pressure, a lot of strokes. So being able to help guide them into just everybody gets drug dependent here. They feel like, and it's probably everywhere, not just here. I'm taking this medicine so I can go back to eating whatever I want to because the medicine's going to going to clear it out. We've had people that say like, oh, I've got dialysis tomorrow, so I'm going to eat heavy today because the dialysis will clear it all out tomorrow. Well, that's not true. It's so not true. For myself, I started eating pretty much the Mediterranean diet the best I could, just buying the colorful foods and as natural as possible, which I kind of did already, but really got into it even more. And within 3 days, I wasn't taking any of my sinus meds anymore. I was taking up to like 4 times a day with nasal spray and then taking meds at night to be able to sleep without, having difficulty breathing. I'm not taking it anymore. It's been almost 8 weeks now. And wow. Still there's some, some issues because we got a lot of pollens around here and everything, but I had a hard time trying to get off of the nasal spray again, which can be very addictive. So I'm off of that. And then about 1.5 years ago, I was on a long-term antibiotics, and it just totally messed up my GI tract, constipation for over 1 year. And that was cleared up in a week of just changing to the better foods. So I just got to start thinking, oh gosh, we don't really need to rely on medicines if we're eating healthy. If you're eating healthy and then you still need a little boost with antibiotics, that's up to the doctor. But if you're eating really healthy, you shouldn't have to be taking all these other supplements and vitamins. And if you look at those labels on the vitamins, they're the same thing, They've got a lot of additives in there too that are, not healthy.
Yeah. Well, for anybody out there who's been watching and is interested in learning more about these trainings that we've been talking about, the training that Cindi mentioned is our Food as Medicine certification, and Cindi is one of the lead speakers that's a part of that. This is already recorded, so you can watch it on your own time whenever it's convenient for you. And then I also have an upcoming virtual conference that's going to be hosted in December. That one has a ton of speakers. And I basically have 3 tracks kind of built in. So there's a little bit of something for everybody. I've got one track that's more performance. So what do you do for the nutritional needs of endurance athletes, or biomarker testing, or protein supplements? Cindi will have a few sessions that are part of the healthcare track where we talk about diabetes and metabolic syndrome. How do you navigate diet culture? And then I also have a track that's on the mental health side. How does food impact your mood? What are the implications for trauma and things of that nature? So that event is our largest scale nutrition event to date. And so I'm super excited to hear what all of our presenters have to bring to the table for that one. And I hope that you guys join us there. But thank you so much for your time today, Cindi and Sandy. It was wonderful speaking with you, and I hope you'll have an amazing rest of your day.
You too.
Yeah.
Thank you.